Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and today we have an incredible guest, Navin Jaitly. Navin is a performance coach, and our topic is raise your level of performance permanently. Navin, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you today, Navin. Before I get started, I just need to make a legal disclaimer. Navin is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show. Navin, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure, I can, Mark. I think the best way to talk about myself and my business is really to give you a little bit of insight into my background and my story. So I come from a corporate sales background, but it's really feels like it's been in two halves. So in the early part of my career, I was massively underperforming my potential. I was the kind of guy that would ace an interview and then take a role and not really smash it. I'd be doing average at best. And my boss at the time couldn't understand. I couldn't even understand myself because I was a guy who was socially pretty confident. I was bright. I had a decent level of sales knowledge, but I wasn't getting I wasn't hitting my targets. I was inconsistent, and I was not in the top half of salespeople. And I actually read a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, which was written by a guy called Tim Galway. And you know when you sometimes read a book and the penny drops? And while I was reading that book, it was all about your inner game, your inner mind, your inner thoughts, etc. And it was in that moment that I thought, I think this is it. The challenge I'm finding is not my external skills, it's the dialogue I'm having, the communication I'm having with myself, and the internal emotions I'm feeling when I'm going out and selling. So I just really threw myself into personal development, really threw myself into understanding the inner workings of myself and of people. And literally my performance just skyrocketed. And, fast forward, and I went from underperformer to high achiever. And so much so that now I've got my own business and doing very well, and best-selling author and award-winning salesman, all the rest of it that came with it. But it really came off the back of me changing the way I thought about myself from an internal point of view, the dialogue that happened in my mind, the emotions I felt inside, and learning how to tap into them and change them. And I decided I wanted to help other people do the same. And that's really what I do now. I'm a performance coach, and I work with organizations. I work with corporates. I work with SMEs. I work with business owners individually or their teams. And I work with individuals themselves who really want to raise their performance. And I do that, but mainly through working on their inner game to maximize their outer performance.
Personal development is so important. And when you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, it's really important that you have strong mindset. And like you mentioned, it all comes from the inside, Navin. And sales is so important when you're in business. And that's why it's so important that we all have a strong inner game. Can you share who are your clients, Navin?
Sure. I mean, the clients I work with, as I mentioned, are typically our corporates and teams within corporates, are business leaders. They tend to be sales leaders, but I'm not exclusively working with just sales teams. Or they're the SMEs or the small business owners, even the one-man, one-woman bands, and even just people who work with organizations and who come to me on an individual basis and want one-to-one coaching. So I work with anyone who wants to raise their performance. I tend to end up working more with people who need to sell for a living, but I'm not exclusively just working with them. What I would say, the only thing that I ask for is I want to work with people who genuinely want to improve, who generally are hungry to raise their level of performance. As long as they've got that, I can work with them and I can help them become more successful.
Yes, you want people that want it so that they do the work, Navin. Now, tell us a little bit about the ha-ha moment that led to the launch of your business.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as I said, it was a journey that I went on personally. And then I think the bit where I thought, actually, I want to actually be doing this. I want to be actually helping other people is when I was actually going through some sales training myself. And when you sometimes have those moments, and I just realized that all of the training was based on external skills. So on positioning, on closing, on questioning, on how to understand or get more industry knowledge, etc. And I just thought that like 90% of all the training out there, and this is not just sales, but definitely in sales, is very externally focused. And I knew that what changed my game, and it was more of the inner game stuff. So I thought, look, there's a need for this. Like there's a genuine need for people to work on their inner mindset and inner emotions to get that external success they want to. And that's when I thought, I want to actually set up my own business and I actually want to help people with this.
It's great when you're helping others, Navin. In the beginning of my journey, I wanted to be the star of the show, and it's a much harder journey that way. When I started serving and helping my clients, it's just so rewarding when you're helping others. Tell us a little bit about what motivates you to jump out of bed every single morning.
Well, actually, it's pretty much in line with what you just said. It's helping others and the impact I know I can give them. And it's not just about raising performance, because it's the consequence of that. So when they raise their performance, they're getting better lives for themselves. Especially people who, like myself, were very ambitious and threw a lot into their work, or if it's a business, you have your business. And so I know it's the impact that I'm making to these people's lives, because when I'm helping them to improve their performance and the way that they'll ultimately feel about themselves, that's also going to be touching into their personal lives. And it's going to be more income for them. It's going to be, if it's in a company, they're going to have career progression. If it's their business, they're going to be able to impact more people. It's just the ripple effect that causes. So what really gets me out of bed is the impact that I know I have on people's lives. And another little thing as well is I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I love personally developing still to this day. So in order to keep myself fresh and make sure I can give the best service to everyone, I need to keep upgrading my own skills and knowledge. And so I'm constantly working, I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly developing, and I enjoy doing that. So a consequence of what I do also helps develop me.
Yes, personal development is a lifelong journey, and these skills that you're giving to your clients, they're going to be lasting. They will be using these skills long term. So you're really helping them to improve their business for the long term. Navin, what sets your business apart and what unique need are you filling for your clients?
I believe what really sets me apart is the approach, because there are lots and lots of other performance coaches or performance consultancies out there. But as I mentioned before, I believe, and even from a lot of the research I've done, a lot of it's externally focused. And let me just make something clear, Mark. I mean, the basis of what I do is the inner game, but I don't completely neglect some of the other skills you need. And I do cover them as well. But the main bread and butter, what I provide, is working on that inner game that not many other organizations or not many other individual coaches provide. So one thing that makes me unique is the approach I'm taking to develop people's performance. Just to elaborate on that as well is I believe a lot of the training out there and coaching is skill set, but I work on skill set, mindset, and people's emotions. So it's the holistic approach I take. And it's something that's really, really needed at the moment. So that's what really sets me apart. And that's why I do what I do.
Why is your service especially important, Navin, in today's modern world?
Well, I mean, at the moment, especially with the pandemic that's happened, I think people are feeling a lot of uncertainty. And, just some stats actually for you. 80% of people lack self-belief in themselves. And 60% of people lack clarity as to what they really want. And 35% of people are debilitated by fear. I'm not just talking about feeling fear, but debilitated by it in terms of reaching their goals and achieving their success. And one thing actually I did forget to mention that sets me apart as well is I've created my own model, which is called the ABTEF model. And basically it covers areas like awareness, self-belief, clarity, the ability to dominate your thoughts, ability to empower yourself, but more importantly, empower others, and your relationship with fear and how to control that. And just from some of the stats I've told you there, people are finding this a challenge. And this is making them or impacting their performance, seriously impacting their performance. So I believe the service I provide is really needed at the moment. I think it's been exasperated through something like COVID. And I think, like I said, it's going to be making a difference to people's lives. And from an organization's point of view, I speak to a lot of business leaders. I speak to a lot of CEOs, and they just tell me that they throw so much money at training and development, and they don't always feel like there's a permanent fix or it's really giving them the ROI that they want. And that's why I believe the kind of work that I do, it's more long lasting. Once you work from the inside out, that's going to keep you permanently high performance, or certainly for a lot longer than a lot of the other stuff that's out there. So I think there's some of the reasons why I think it's really, really important at the moment.
Yes, and there's a lot of businesses over this last year that are really struggling or trying to gain momentum again, and they could really do with your support, Navin. Can you share a few more detail on the kind of services and products you offer?
Sure. So I provide one-to-one coaching for people who want that personal one-to-one time with me, and I provide packages around that. Then I also do a lot of master classes, and I do a lot of courses. So, for example, in May, on the 9th and 16th of May, I have my 2-day Inner Game Mindset Maximizer course. And as I mentioned a minute ago, I've created a model around this, and it's the basis of my course. And so the idea is that you work through that model, and by the end of it, you're able to firstly understand yourself much better, but then also have those techniques and a strategy to help you instantly raise your game and raise your performance. And I have other courses as well that I've designed. And I also go into organizations and work with teams. And like I said, I can do it on an individual basis as well. So it's a mix of my courses, my workshops, and my individual coaching.
Now, Navin, I know you have all sorts of client success stories. I want you to just pick one that stands out to you.
Sure, there's a few actually that really stick out to me, but I'm going to take one that's there was actually a client that stuck in my mind because he was actually one of my first clients, and he came to me and he works in sales, and he was doing pretty well. But what he really wanted to do is, he said his goal was that he wanted to get into more management. And he talked a good game. I was almost fairly convinced that, why he wanted to get into management when he first approached me. But when we started working together, and as I started taking him through the model, I became very apparent that he actually didn't have that much awareness about his values, about his beliefs. He wasn't really in tune with why he wanted what he was saying he wanted. And he didn't really understand properly the skills, the special gifts and skills that he had. And he was actually playing it a lot smaller in his head. And he had so much more potential. And he had those imposter syndromes. He came across as very confident, but he had that imposter syndrome mindset in him. He didn't have the full self-belief that he needed to get to even where he said he wanted to get to when he first saw me, let alone the potential he had, which was far more than that. So, we worked together, and over the period of several weeks, he started changing every single session. And as a result, he realized that actually what he wanted to be a leader, whether that was running his own business or be a leader in the organization he worked for now, like a senior leader. And we went about changing the way he thought about himself, changing the dialogues he had with himself, changing how he looked at his environment, changing his behaviors, and also working on a strategy to help him get there. And now he's already been promoted several times, and he's doing really, really well for himself. He's a completely different person, even with the way you talk to him. His family have even noticed that. And I think more than anything else, he's really realized his potential. And he even said to me, I thought I was playing it big, he said, but actually I was playing it really small. And now he's where he wants to be. He's still working, he's still evolving, but he's where he wants to be. And that frustration that he was feeling, and that in fact he was even worrying, concern he was feeling that he wasn't going to get where he wanted to, is gone. And he's just on an upward trajectory. And I think what I really liked about that is not just a success story, but it was very, very much an example of a guy who'd worked on a lot of his outer game and got on courses and packed himself with skills and even spoke pretty confidently, spoke a pretty good game. But actually his inner game wasn't where it needed to be to get that success. And by working on that, we got him to where he needs to be. So that's something that really sticks out to me.
And so rewarding for you as well, watching your clients transform, improve their business, improve their personal lives, and go on to earn better income from a result of that as well. Now, Navin, you are part of a book project. I am also a part of the Law of Brand Attraction too. The foreword of the book is the incredible Dr. John Demartini, and the mind behind this project, Sammy Blindle. Could you just tell us a little bit about your chapter of the book?
Sure. So my chapter is based on the inner game, and it tells a little bit about my story. It goes into more detail than what I've told you today, and it talks about a specific incident, actually. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about my model. So if you want to get an overview for what I'm about, it's a really, really good read. But the book itself, I can't recommend it enough. I've read through all the chapters, and all the different authors give so much so much great advice. I've even taken on myself, and it's a really interesting read as well. John Demartini himself as well. I follow a lot of his work. He's all about the inner game and mindset. So yeah, my chapter's basically an amalgamation of my philosophies and a bit about my story. The book is a collection of different people's philosophies, views, and strategies. And and Sammy, who put it together, I work closely with her as well. She's amazing. She helps a lot of people out there build their brands. So if you haven't got a copy, I really recommend it, because you're not only going to be able to find out more about me and connect with my thinking, but a lot of other visionaries out there as well.
Yes, there's around 27 or 28 co-authors, including myself, including Navin. There's going to be a thought leader in that book that you can really learn from and take inspiration from, if not one, all of them, because they all have incredible stories and incredible tips and strategies for moving forwards in business and in life. I would recommend you go to thelawofbrandattraction.com. That's thelawofbrandattraction.com, and grab a copy. Navin, I have really enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Is there anything we did not cover that you would like to share?
Sure. One thing I would like to say is that for people out there who are thinking about hiring a coach, I don't think you should think any longer. It's not even about whether they use me or anyone, because a good coach, that is, not everyone out there is great, but a good or great coach out there can really be a game changer. And I found that, in my personal development journey, it's really helped me. I've got to where I am today through the use of a lot of personal development, working on myself, but also using coaches myself. And if you, like I said before, if you do want to especially work on your performance levels, then what I would recommend is go to my website, navinjaitlycoaching.com, and you can find out a little bit more about what I do there. And in fact, my upcoming course, it's in May. You can sign up there as well. So yeah, just a couple of things there. Go and visit my website and find out a little bit more about my philosophy. Sign up for the course, of course. Sign up for the book. And if you're not, whoever you're going to use, I can't recommend a coach, good coach, really, because it's just so vital. It's just so important for those of you who are serious about developing and their performance, maximizing their potential, and getting the most out of life. Then I think it's a no-brainer.
I have to agree, Navin. We all need a coach. Even the top entrepreneurs that you are sure to be following, I can assure you, even they have coaches. Navin, just tell our listeners one more time how they can connect with you.
Sure. So you can connect with me either on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, but easiest way is to go to my website, navinjaitlycoaching.com. That's navinjaitlycoaching.com. Or you can send me an email to navinjaitlycoaching@outlook.com. That's navinjaitlycoaching@outlook.com. But like I said, I'm active on social media, so you can connect with me on Instagram, on Facebook, or LinkedIn.
Navin, thank you so much for being on the Brilliance Business Show.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure. You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.